Do you know your past? Do you know where it is? It exists only where you think. Do you know that every relationship you have lives in your mind? Close your eyes. Simply close your eyes. Close them. All right, where is your husband? Where is your wife? Where are your children, your grandchildren? Where is your former spouse? They are all in your mind. Open your eyes. They are no longer there. Close your eyes. There they are again. They exist only in your mind. You carry your relationships in your mind, and if your thoughts about those relationships center on what is wrong, on what you do not like, on what you hate, on what was done to you, that will be your experience. You will materialize or manifest more and more of that pain in your life. If you focus on what you love about them and make that the center of your attention, that will become the nature of your relationship. It is the greatest secret for making any relationship work. It is that simple. Always focus on what you love if you want that to expand in your life. When you look at someone with whom you have a relationship, look at what you love, because what you think is what expands. I will speak more about this later, about not feeding energy to the things you do not want, because what you think is what expands. And if your thinking is fixed on what you do not want, then more of what you do not want will keep appearing. It is the only way it works. So now I suggest to everyone in this room and to everyone listening to take an eraser to all the wounds of your past and simply wipe them away and never again make them your calling card. Bring the presence of God to those issues, and the presence of God is nothing more than a higher, faster energy. Everything is energy, as Einstein said. Nothing happens until something moves. Spiritual energy is simply energy moving very quickly at very high frequencies. Troubled energy is very slow and vibrates at very low frequencies. When high, rapid frequencies meet slow, low energies, they cancel them out, they dissipate, they cannot survive. There is a hymn sung in many of the churches where I speak that says, "Surely the presence of God is in this place." It is a powerful affirmation at any moment, as is the statement from A Course in Miracles. I can choose peace instead of this. The presence of God is in this place. Whenever I have a conflict with one of my children or with anyone at all, I bring that line to whatever I am experiencing in that moment. I simply bring that phrase, "surely the presence," because there is nowhere God is not. Like the little boy in 7th century India who was an avatar, truly God in human form. Wherever he went, people healed merely by being in his presence, just as with St. Francis. He was seen in the village and in the valley at the same time. Lights emanated from his body wherever he walked, and everyone in the village knew this was a child of God, God in their village, without the burden of an ego. He was an egoless being who had appeared among them, which is what I believe our great spiritual teachers were. There are ways to reach the highest levels of consciousness. One is to assume an ego and then spend much of your life seeing how much of it you can let go of, which has been my path. Another is to simply appear and never take on an ego in the first place. There have been only a few of those in recorded history, and this child was one of them. The elders of the tribe knew he was God in human form, and they approached him and tried to bribe him by saying, "I will give you an orange if you can tell me where God is." The child without hesitation said, "I will give you 2 oranges if you can tell me where God is not." One of the fundamental precepts of this entire program is that there is only one power in the universe, and that is the power of God. Whenever we see evil, it is only love headed the wrong way, away from its source. All we need to do is find a way to bring it back home, because there is only one power in the universe. Whenever we believe we are stuck in something that is not good, like a problem, disorder, disharmony, illness, discomfort, what we have done is use our mind to create a separation from God. As long as we keep moving away from that source, that spirit, as long as we keep heading in the opposite direction, those problems will continue to manifest. But if somehow we can find a way to turn around and head back in that direction, we can dissolve them. I tell people, suppose you fall asleep and have a dream, and in your dream there are all these characters and all this money and everything you wanted. Then you wake up and look back at your dream and cling to the things you had there. You say, "Wait a minute, I want that." There was gold, there was silver, there were all these friends, I had a Ferrari, there was all of this, I have to have it. Someone would come and lock you in a padded room and tell you, "That was a dream, You cannot cling to that. It is only a thought you had. That is how you have to see life. Instead of an 8-hour dream, it is an 80 or 90-year dream. And at the end of the dream, you will not want to be looking back at all the things you wish you could keep, because you cannot keep them. You do not take any of it with you. So you try to detach now, while you are here, while you are alive, from the need to have those things. Instead, you let everything flow. As absurd as it would be to cling to what you had in a dream, it is just as absurd to cling to what you have in this dream. You must die while you are alive now. It is a difficult concept for people to grasp, but you must experience your own death while you live. Let me tell you a story. It is a wonderful old tale, and I will paraphrase it. There was a hunter who lived in India, and every 2 years he went to Africa and brought back animals, trophies, and the like. One year he went into the jungle and came upon a great enclave deep within it. It was filled with beautiful parrots, glorious multicolored birds, and they all talked. He could not believe it. He cast a net over one of the trees and captured one of the parrots. He put the parrot in a cage and took it back to India as his pet. He fed it sunflower seeds and rice and cared for it kindly, but he kept it caged. 2 years passed, and he spoke with the parrot every day. He said to the parrot, "I am going back to Africa now. Is there anything you would like me to tell your friends in the jungle when I am there?" The parrot replied, "Yes. Tell them I am very happy in my cage. Tell them I am content and I love being here with you. Just tell them that." The hunter returned to Africa, went back to the place in the jungle where he had been 2 years earlier, and told the story. He said, "Your friend, the one I took, has a message for you. The message is that he is happy in his cage, that he is content with me, and that he has no regrets." Instantly upon hearing that, a bird on one of the branches collapsed and fell dead, fell stiff and lifeless. The hunter assumed the bird was filled with sorrow at hearing what had become of his friend. So he went back to India and told his parrot what had happened. He said, "I went back and did exactly as you asked. I told them all. The moment I did, apparently one of the parrots was so upset, missed you so much that he just dropped dead. At that very instant, the parrot in the cage collapsed and played dead. His feet went rigid and he lay motionless. The hunter was baffled. He could not understand what had happened. He lifted the dead parrot from the cage, opened it, and tossed the bird onto the woodpile. The moment the parrot landed on the woodpile, he flew to a branch. The hunter said, "You tricked me. What is this? I thought you were dead." And the parrot replied, "My friend was sending me a message. He told me with his actions that to escape your cage, you must die while you are alive. That is an old story told through the ages. What does it mean? Do you not realize this is a cage, that the entire planet is a cage? If you can step back far enough, you will see we are still confined by the limits imposed on us as human beings. We are caged here, perhaps in our homes or wherever we may be. We are all in cages. And even with more room to move, even with a whole planet, we remain caged. How do you escape the cage you are in? You must die while you are alive. You must literally experience your own death. All of us must, and all of us will. So why not experience it in advance and see yourself outside your body, gone, yet able to look back at what is happening now? Just as in the dream where you have everything you want yet can regard it with distance. As you do this, you begin to see the foolishness, the absurdity of clinging to anything, of being attached to anything, of needing anything, of telling yourself you cannot be happy unless you have something. From the vantage point of having died yet being able to look back, as soon as you can do that, as soon as you can experience yourself as formless, without dimensions, everything to which you cling becomes irrelevant. It is no longer necessary. You gain a completely new way of living, a new way of being. My experience is that most people live their lives tethered to their past, clinging to personal stories to justify self-defeating behavior and scarcity in their lives. They hold on to past hurts, abuses, and failures as calling cards to announce victimhood to everyone they meet within minutes of an introduction. I was abandoned as a child. I am an alcoholic. I survived incest. My parents divorced and I never got over it. The list could go on for hours. Your past is over. By clinging to it, you not only ensure you will be immobilized today, but you also prevent yourself from healing. By referring to past struggles and using them as the reasons you cannot move forward with your life now, you are doing the equivalent of letting the past drive the bus. This also works in reverse. Many people point to the good old days in which no longer exist as the reason they cannot be happy or feel fulfilled today. Everything has changed. No one respects others the way they used to. A dollar used to be a dollar. Now everything is overpriced. People no longer seem willing to help as they once did. When we were kids, we respected authority. Kids today have no respect for their parents. That too is living in the past and handing responsibility to bygone times for the fact that they cannot be successful or happy today. Step out of the past. Imagine a pencil with the sole capacity to write your past story. It has no other use. Your entire past is inside that pencil. Are you going to keep using it? For what? Are you going to set it down? Perhaps Omar Khayyam will inspire you with a poem written 1,000 years ago. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on. Nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. You can weep all night over the story in that pencil, over everything it contains and all you wish you could erase or bring back. But all your tears cannot erase a single word of the past, as the poet philosopher reminds you. You want to let go of your personal history symbolized by that pencil. Yet when you walk away from it, no matter how far you go, you look back and there it is. I suggest you pick up the pencil and, with compassion, allow the words, the wounds, and the pains of the past to be written, embraced, examined, understood, accepted, and loved for all you have learned and experienced. The act of taking it up and embracing it will give you the strength to transform the past into a song, a poem, a painting, or a ritual if you feel called to those expressions, or to release it in your own unique way. Embrace your personal history. In a universe that is an intelligent system upheld by a divine creative force, there simply cannot be accidents. As hard as it may be to acknowledge, you had to go through what you went through to arrive where you are today. The evidence is that you did. Every spiritual breakthrough you make in your life will likely be preceded by some form of fall or apparent disaster. Those dark times, accidents, hard episodes, periods of poverty, illness, abuse, and broken dreams occurred for a reason. They happened, so assume they had to happen, and you cannot undo them. Accept them from that perspective. With help if necessary, then understand them, accept them, honor them, and finally dismiss or transform them in your way. I know someone who gave them a new assignment. Free yourself to plunge into this moment, the now, which is called the present, because that is exactly what it is. A gift to open, enjoy, nourish, play with, and explore. All you have is the now. The willingness and ability to live fully in the present elude many people. While you are eating your appetizer, do not worry about dessert. While you are reading a book, pay attention to where your thoughts are. On vacation, enjoy the moment instead of thinking about what you should have done or what you will have to do when you return home. Do not allow the elusive present to be devoured by thoughts that are not in the here and now. There is an irony in this habit of letting the mind wander to other times and places. You can only be lost in the now because the now is all you have. So losing yourself in thoughts of the past or the future is a way of wasting your present moments. It is true you have a past but not now, and yes, you have a future, but that is not now either. You can consume your present with thoughts of what was or what might be, but that will steer you away from the inner peace and success you could be experiencing. It helps to notice that other creatures do not waste the present by thinking about the past or the future. A beaver simply does what a beaver does, and does it in the present moment. He does not spend his days wishing to be a young beaver again, or brooding over the fact that his beaver siblings got more attention, or that his beaver father left with a younger beaver when he was growing up. He is always in the present. We can learn much from God's creatures about enjoying the present moment rather than squandering it in guilt over the past or worry about the future. Practice living in the present and refuse to allow any thought based on your past to define you. Pause and take note of everything around you. People, creatures, vegetation, cloud formations, the contours of buildings, everything. Stay in the present by meditating and drawing close to the ultimate now, which is God. God exists only here and now. Consider this. God will not be doing anything different an hour from now, from what God is doing at this moment. And God is not doing anything now different from what God was doing 1,000 years ago. The truth is that you can only come to know God if you are willing to be at peace in the present moment. You will truly know God only when you release the past and the future in your mind and merge completely into the now, because God is always here and now. Very few people understand and live this principle, largely because of conditioning and an unwillingness to train the mind to live in the present. It is one reason I sometimes say the extra mile is never crowded. On that extra mile, choosing inner peace and attracting success into your life while living in the present becomes a way of being. You can begin by dropping your personal history from your repertoire of excuses for not living in peace. Do you know your past? Do you know where it is? It exists only where you think. Do you know that every relationship you have lives in your mind? Close your eyes. Just close your eyes. Close them. All right, where is your husband? Where is your wife? Where are your children, your grandchildren? Where is your former spouse? They are all in your mind. Open your eyes, they are gone. Close your eyes, there they are again. They exist only in your mind. You carry your relationships in your mind, and if your thoughts about those relationships center on what is wrong, on what you do not like, on what you hate, on what was done to you, that will be your experience. You will materialize or manifest more and more of that pain in your life. If you focus on what you love about them and make that the center of your attention, that will be the nature of your relationship. It is the greatest secret for making any relationship work. It is that simple. Always focus on what you love if you want it to expand in your life. When you look at someone with whom you are in relationship, look for what you love, because what you think is what expands. I will speak more about that later, about not giving energy to what you do not want, because what you think is what expands. And if your thinking is fixed on what you do not want, then more of what you do not want will keep appearing. It is the only way it works. So I now suggest to everyone in this room and to everyone listening that you take an eraser to all the wounds of your past and simply wipe them away and never again make them your calling card. Bring the presence of God to those problems, and the presence of God is simply a higher, faster energy. Everything is energy, as Einstein said. Nothing happens until something moves. Spiritual energy is simply energy that moves very quickly at very high frequencies. Troubled energy is very slow and vibrates at very low frequencies. When high, rapid frequencies meet slow, low energies, they cancel them out. They dissipate. They cannot survive. There is a hymn sung in many of the churches where I speak that says, "Surely the presence of God is in this place." It is a powerful affirmation at any moment, as is the statement from A Course in Miracles. I can choose peace instead of this. The presence of God is in this place. It is a powerful affirmation at any moment, as is the statement from A Course in Miracles. I can choose peace instead of this. But surely the presence of God is in this place. Whenever I have a conflict with one of my children or in any situation, I simply use that line to focus on what I'm experiencing right then. I bring that phrase into my mind, surely the presence, because there is nowhere God is not. Like the little boy in 7th century India who was an avatar, truly God in human form, and wherever he went, people healed simply by being in his presence, just like St. Francis. He was seen in the village and in the valley at the same time. Lights emanated from his body wherever he went, and everyone in the village knew he was a child of God, that he was God in their village, without the benefit of an ego. He was an egoless being who had appeared among them, which is how I believe our great spiritual teachers were. There are ways to reach the highest levels of consciousness. One is to assume an ego and then spend a large portion of your life trying to shed as much of it as you can, which has been my path. But there is another in which you simply appear and never take an ego on in the first place. There have been only a few of those in recorded history, and this child was one of them. The elders of the tribe knew he was God in human form. They came to the child and tried to bribe him by saying, "I will give you an orange if you can tell me where God is." And the child, without hesitation, replied, "I will give you 2 oranges if you can tell me where God is not." One of the most fundamental precepts of this entire program is that there is only one power in the universe, and that is the power of God. Whenever we see evil, It is nothing more than love that has taken the wrong road, moving away from its source. All we have to do is find a way to guide it back to its source, because there is only one power in the universe. And whenever we believe we are in something that is not good, like a problem, disorder, disharmony, illness, discomfort, what we have done is use our mind to create a separation from God. As long as we keep moving away from that source, that spirit, as long as we keep heading in the opposite direction, those problems will continue to manifest. But if we somehow manage to find a way to turn around and return in that direction, we can eliminate them. People from the error-free zone, which I now call the NEZ, are different from ordinary people in our world. Although they look very much like everyone else, if you watch closely, you will notice distinctive qualities, none of which are tied to race, socioeconomic level, or gender, that set them apart from many others. They do not fit neatly into role definitions, job descriptions, geographic patterns, education levels, or financial statistics. There is something different about them, but the difference cannot be discerned by scanning the traditional external factors we use to classify people. They can be rich or poor, men or women, any race, living anywhere, doing practically anything, and yet they are different in that they carry no errors. How can you tell when you meet an NEZ person? Observe them, listen to them. Here is what you will discover. First and most obviously, you will see a person who enjoys virtually everything in life. Yes, this is someone who likes it all, someone who is comfortable doing almost anything, and who wastes no time complaining or wishing things were different. They are enthusiasts of life and want all they can get from it. They enjoy picnics, movies, books, sports, concerts, cities, farms, animals, mountains, practically anything you might list. They simply like everything. When you are near them, you will notice a striking absence of complaints, laments, or even passive sighs. If it rains, they like it. If it is hot, they enjoy it rather than complain. If they are in a traffic jam or at a party or alone, they simply deal with what is. They do not pretend to enjoy. They sensibly accept what is and possess a surprising capacity to enjoy virtually everything. If you ask what they dislike, they will struggle to give you an honest answer. They do not have the good sense to come indoors when it rains. Why? Because they see rain as beautiful, exciting, something to experience. They like it. Slushy snow does not enrage them. They watch it, splash in it, and accept it as part of what it means to be alive. Do they like cats? Yes. Bears? Yes. Worms? Those too. You will have a hard time finding things, events, people, activities, or ideas they do not like. They live. And though they do not warmly embrace nuisances like disease, germs, droughts, mosquitoes, floods, and the like, they never spend their present moments complaining about them or wishing they did not exist. If such situations need to be eradicated, they are very likely to work as eradicators, enjoying and living all their present moments. Try as you might, you will find it difficult to identify something they do not like doing. They are true lovers of life and delight in it all, extracting from it everything that is possible for them. An NEZ person is free of guilt and all the anxiety that comes from wasting your present moments being paralyzed by past events. They can certainly admit to having made mistakes and may promise to avoid them in the future. For them, an NEZ person is free of guilt and of all the anxiety that comes with squandering your present moments paralyzed by the past. They can certainly admit to having made mistakes and may promise to avoid repeating any behavior that is counterproductive in any way. Yet they do not spend time wishing they had not done something or being upset by something they did at an earlier time in their life. Total freedom from guilt will be the striking behavior you observe in an NEZ person. They do not regret the past, and they do not try to make others choose guilt by asking empty questions like, "Why did you not do it differently?" Or, "Are you not ashamed?" They seem to recognize that life lived is simply that, and no feeling of discomfort will alter the past. While they effortlessly practice this absence of guilt in themselves, because it is natural, they are notably free of trying to make others choose guilt, since they see with an inner third eye that feeling bad in the present only reinforces a poor self-image. Learning from the past is a far superior strategy to lamenting it. You will never see them manipulating others by telling them how badly they have behaved, nor will you be able to manipulate them with those same tactics. They will not get angry with you. They will simply ignore it and see you as someone dealing out guilt. Rather than being upset with you, they will walk away or change the subject. As a result, you will not even notice that the strategy that works so well with most people has failed spectacularly with your NEZ friend. Instead of smearing themselves or others with guilt, they simply let it pass without ceremony when it appears. Similarly, your NEZ friend will be a person who does not worry. You will soon notice that circumstances that drive many people to despair are gently internalized by an NEZ person. They are not planners or hoarders for the future. They refuse to worry when you do and keep clear of the anxiety that accompanies worry. You cannot drive them crazy with worries. They do not know how, as if it were not part of their nature. They are not necessarily serene at every moment, but they simply are not willing to spend any of their present moments imagining disasters about future things beyond their control. They are highly present-oriented and possess an inner signal that seems to remind them that all worry must take place now, in the present moment, and that it is a foolish way to live the life you have, never allowing any moments available for worry. They simply never seem to get around to the matter of worrying that so occupies the lives of others. Your NEZ person is able to live in the now, rather than in the past or the future. They do not feel threatened by the unknown and seek experiences that are new, unexplored, and unfamiliar to them. They love ambiguity rather than being bothered by it. They love the present in virtually every setting, aware that this is all they have. They do not plan for some future event and then let long periods of inactivity pass while they wait for a reward. The moments between events are as livable as those occupied by the events themselves, and they have that incredible ability to draw every ounce of pleasure from their daily lives. They are not procrastinators saving for a rainy day, and although their culture scolds such behavior, they are not threatened by disapproval. They pick their happiness now, and when a future now arrives, they enjoy that too. It is odd, but this NEZ individual simply always enjoys because they see the absurdity of waiting to enjoy. This is not a special creed they have adopted. It is the natural way to live, much like any child or animal, taking in huge doses of satisfaction in the present moment. While most ordinary people spend life waiting for their rewards and never quite reach them, these people are strikingly independent. They have left the nest, and though they hold deep love and devotion for their family, they view independence as far superior to dependence in every relationship. Now that we have come this far, I am going to share one of the finest reflections from one of my great friends. I am sure you know him because his impact is tremendous.